Okay, let's continue from part one. Part one, I was going to do everything, but the video was getting much too long. So this actual footage was from part one. I just took it and brought it here. So I actually made that one. That was the prototype. So this technically isn't the first one I'm making. It's the second set. So I took all the scraps I had and I cut them all up and glued them up. This is the day before, so this is the next day. So this time I don't have to wait about, worry about it not being dried. I can just go ahead and finish these all up in one go now. So with all the scraps, what I did was, I think I made them 6 inches long. Yeah, they were 6 inches long in length, and that middle piece is 4 inch. I left 2 inches, I guess, for that cam section. The original one I made was 5 inches, and the middle piece was 3 inches, so the same 2 inches. But this is an inch and a quarter high and 6 inches long. And since the boards are half-inch each, they are 1.5 inches thick. The final dimensions, though, is going to be 5 inches in length. I had the scrap material, so I just, made them all even. But I knew I was going to, I guess, cut off some sections and round it over. So right now they're 6 inches long, inch and a half, I guess, thick, an inch and a half tall. The final will be 5 inches long, 1 inch tall, an inch and a half thick. Can't change that. I took the piece I had. I didn't like it. It was long and just plain looking. So, I made this other piece. I just actually took that piece and cut it down. Right here, I'm deciding, where to make it pivot. Now, on the block or what is that? The outer section, it has to be in the center. That just has to be in the center of the height. But forward or back, it can be, wherever you want, just as long as it clears that block in the middle and everything. So I was just trying to figure out where to put it, what's the max I could go. So it's basically in the middle, Now I was kind of lazy here. I didn't want to drill right. I didn't want to take it to the drill press, and which means if I drill straight through, it's probably come out crooked at the other end. So this way, I didn't have to worry. I just drilled one side, measured that, and transferred it to the other side, and drilled through. So it looked like I drilled straight through. Here I'm showing what we did there. What I did actually, I used a bolt. You can use anything you want. A pin, a dowel, a cotter pin. Anything will work. What I have is a bunch of these inch and a half, I guess, screws. Not screws, they're actually bolts. So I'm just going to make use of it since my block is 1.5 inches thick. I could just countersink it and it should line up perfectly. What I'm doing now is deciding how much throw I want that cam to have. So I know where it's going to pivot. If I move the pivot spot, I can have more cam or less cam. I think about 3/8, more than a quarter. 3/8 is good. I mean, you can probably go up to a half inch. Not exactly sure. You might have to experiment yourself. I just went with somewhere around 3/8 worth of throw. I figured that was enough, and it turned out to be enough. I mean, I may experiment later, but for now, I'm happy with 3/8, and I kind of like it. You can test it out and see right there. You could actually probably put multiple holes in that camming lever and try out, but as long as they're not too close together, it's not going to be that weak. So since I decided to go with this, I think it was a 1024 bolt. Like I said, you can use a dowel, a pin, or whatever you want. This way I don't have to wait for it to glue up. I don't have to go and, cut down a piece of a dowel or go find a pin that's an inch and a half. I have an inch and a half bolt. I'm just going to use that. So I just threaded the far side for 1024 and then just recess the bolt. If anybody has a good tool to recess it, mine's kind of wonky. Let me know. But I just recessed it, and it should turn out, very close to 1.5 inches because it is an 1.5 inch bolt. It sticks out a little because I over recessed it, but we'll sand that later. As you can see, it's a little smaller than the original. I set it up with 6 inches. It is 5 inches because I rounded the corners and cut it down. I just picking a spot to drill the dowel. You can pick anywhere, but preferably in the center. I used the spade bit because I wasn't thinking that much for it. In my head, I was thinking maybe I'll just epoxy it in, and the spade bit is not as clean, so we'll leave more room for the epoxy. I didn't decide to do that though, because I don't know. I didn't want the epoxy to, wait for the epoxy to dry, even though it's only 5 minutes. And I didn't want that either. These dowels that I bought, they're 1 foot, so I figured 6 inches sounds good. So I cut it. And then I made sure I sanded. Oh, here. These I got from Lowe's. It comes in a pack like that for like 2 something, I think. So it's quite affordable. You can make 2 from each dowel or 1 super long one. But I chucked it up and then I sanded down the dowel because it's exactly 3/4, which means it exactly fits into the holes I made. So I sanded down the section that goes into the table because I didn't want a tight fit. I want it to be a strictly one-hand operation. Just push it in, pull it out, and have no restriction. I have some leftover rubber. This is from a belt, from a conveyor belt. I think I saw it in the bin. I cut off the section. So you can use anything you want. You can use a thin piece of metal or a sliver of wood. But I think the rubber. I like the rubber. It gives me a good grip on whatever I'm securing down. Adds a bit of resistance to the cam arm too. So I made it the full length, but it's not necessary. And any future ones I'm just gonna make it half that length. I just have a lot of this rubber, so I didn't mind wasting it, but that piece right there could have made 2. And any future ones I make, I'm just gonna use half that amount. But it's just I just pre-drilled and screwed in some regular wood bits to hold in that rubber piece. I've been using it for a while now, and it works very good. So once that's in, we just got to worry about. Yeah, this is where I decided I'm not going to glue it. I'm gonna screw it. Again, you can pin it, you can dowel it, or you can do whatever you want. Probably just put a screw in there. But here, since I do have these 1.5 1024 bolts, and I have quite a bit of them, because you buy them in a box of 100. I must have bought them before for some project, and I still have a lot left over. So I'm just gonna, drill out whatever the necessary for 1024, and then tap out the whole hole and just screw in the bolt. Not a very difficult task screwing into wood. Forgot. I have to countersink. And again, I need a better tool to countersink. Again, it's very important that that dowel is not the same thickness. I mean, I've seen some that you can buy. It's I think it's metal, the dowel, and it's like knurled. And I've seen some that people sand and put this, I guess sanding lines in to help it grip. But I think if you use that often, it'll change the diameter of the holes in your deck, and eventually, the other tools you use or accessories you use on the MFT top is not going to fit well. So, plus I like it smooth because I want a one-hand operation. Just drop it in, pull it out. I don't want to have to wiggle it in or twist it in. Just want to drop it in, clamp it, and get on with my work. When I'm done, just flip it up and yank it out. Okay, it turns out I like these smaller ones better. think what's important is to undersize this and to make it smooth so that you can just drop it anywhere and it's fast to work with. If this is too close to that, you struggle to get this in and out and makes the clamp way slower. Like this, just drop it in, move it to the next one.